What's going on? Not Move Nation. It's Better Betters with JB. What's going on, JB?
What up, not Move Nation? What's good? What's good?
Not much, man. Today is September 28th at 8:17 a.m. Eastern Time. We have a game kicking off here in a little bit over an hour. Minnesota at Pittsburgh. This game is being played in Dublin, Ireland. The Vikings have a 4-0 record in regular season international games. The Steelers are 0-1 in international games, and they actually lost to Minnesota back in 2013. Minnesota does lead this all-time series 10-9 against Pittsburgh. And out of those 10 wins that Minnesota has, they have never won by less than 3 points against Pittsburgh. So if you like Minnesota minus 2.5 today, you got that going for you. Uh, Key injuries that I see, J.J. McCarthy, he's out. So Carson Wentz is in at that quarterback position for Minnesota. Jaylen Warren, Pittsburgh's running back, is technically questionable, but is expected to play. Jonnu Smith, tight end for Pittsburgh's questionable, last that I saw. And then Addison's back, wide receiver for Minnesota.
Think I got him on my fantasy.
Nice. What are your first thoughts about this game, JB?
Well, dumpster fire. You go ahead and look at it, man. We talked about it off air a couple times. They got there late. Like I said, I don't know if it was whether between being just Rodgers that got there late, or if it was the whole ship. But somebody arrived late, and they're not very happy. And if they lose this game, mark my words, there's going to be cancer in that locker room. Rodgers.
Yeah. So one thing that I'm looking at is, the passing play percentage. I talk about that a lot. Minnesota calls a high percentage of rushing plays compared to the other teams in the league. They rank 28th in passing play percentage this season. Pittsburgh is pretty balanced. They rank 16th in passing play percentage. But with that being said, the line suggests and the passing play percentage suggests that Pittsburgh will call, more passing plays than what they're accustomed to. And Minnesota, will call some rushing plays here. So first thing that I see is that Minnesota has a big rushing advantage. They rank 13th in rushing yards per game. Pittsburgh ranks 26th in rushing yards allowed per game. Also, on the flip side, Pittsburgh has the second least amount of rushing yards per game this season. Minnesota's rush defense in regards to yards allowed per game is slightly below average. So all in all, I see Minnesota has a pretty big rushing advantage. Now, that's not good for Pittsburgh because that's where the Vikings defense has been most vulnerable this year, is on the ground. So, I think Pittsburgh will need a big game from their running backs. Although the Vikings pass defense numbers could look better than what they truly are. They've only played against Jake Browning last week, backup quarterback, Michael Penix, who hasn't looked very good this year, and Caleb Williams. Minnesota ranked 29th in passing yards allowed per game last season. So it's somewhat hard for me to believe that they've improved that much, but we'll see what, Rodgers does in this game against that pass defense. If you feel like Minnesota has really cleaned up that pass defense in regards to yards allowed per game, then Minnesota should be the play here. Last year, Aaron Rodgers and the Jets lost to Minnesota 23-17. Aaron Rodgers threw the ball 54 times, completed 29 passes for 244 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Garrett Wilson had 23 targets in that game, which is wild. If Aaron Rodgers tries that same philosophy in this game, I could see DK Metcalf possibly seeing a ton of targets if the Steelers are forced to pass the ball. with that being said, man, Minnesota ranked second worst in passing yards allowed to wide receivers in 2024 and allowed the most receptions to wide receivers in 2024. So I think, if Pittsburgh cannot establish that run, DK Metcalf could be a big target in this game. But, first person I would be really looking at in this game is Jordan Mason, running back from Minnesota. Pittsburgh has allowed the 9th most rushing yards to running backs this season. Jordan Mason's over-under on rushing yards last that I checked was 83.5. Now, Jordan Mason ranks 15th best in the NFL in rushing yards per carry, and Pittsburgh is below average in opponent rush yards per attempt. Jordan Mason's gone over that line in 1 out of 3 games this year. He's gone over that in 4 out of 12 games last year. He's 0 for 1 against Pittsburgh throughout his career, going over that rushing total, but he didn't even record a carry in that game. Last week, he led this team with 16 carries against Cincinnati, and it was a blowout. So if that's the same thing that happens today, I still feel like he'll get some a decent amount of carries here. So that would be somebody that I'd be looking for. Now, throughout my notes here, I don't really see a clear third down advantage for either of these teams. I see that Pittsburgh has a slight red zone conversion advantage. Dollface Gremlin mentioned that in his segment about this game yesterday with Coach Common. He said, this was one of the positive things about this Pittsburgh Steelers team. When they do get into the red zone, they are scoring touchdowns. So, Pittsburgh's got that going for them. But, Minnesota has a pretty decent red zone attempts per game advantage that I see. And Minnesota's doing pretty good, converting touchdowns in the red zone as well. I don't really see a clear sacks on the quarterback advantage in this game. But I do see that Pittsburgh has a slight turnover differential advantage. All in all, JB, I got to go with the Vikings minus 2.5 here. Vikings to win this game by 3+ points. What are you feeling, man?
Yeah, I gotta go with the Vikings as well. I just don't see Pittsburgh, especially them getting there late. I don't see them being able to do anything or be there on time. You know what I mean? Timing is everything, and their schedule has been thrown off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and jet lag is also, something that could happen to some of these players as well with that travel. So, you mentioned that somebody may have got there late for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they're not really happy about it. So that could really throw them off. Now, something else that I looked at, I think it's still maybe a little too early in the season, but average margin of victory. Right now, Minnesota is plus 8.3 average margin of victory, which ranks 4th best in the NFL. Pittsburgh's negative 1.7. The difference between that is 10 points. Minnesota to win by 10 points, exactly 10. With that being said, we had a couple of Pittsburgh Steeler fans pick Minnesota to win this game. Coach Common, he predicted a 24-10 Viking victory in this game. Dollface Gremlin predicted 24-17. So I'm going to stay with that 24 number that they both picked for Minnesota, but I'm just going to make the margin of victory 10. So give me Minnesota to win this game 24-14, which goes barely under that 40.5 projected total.
Yeah, I'm going to go 2017 Minnesota.
I also do just want to talk about a couple of other players in this game. Justin Jefferson, over under 74.5 receiving yards. Pittsburgh ranks 29th in opponent yards per completion. So when their opponents are completing passes, Pittsburgh is allowing a big chunk of yardage. With that being said, Justin Jefferson ranks 10th best in the NFL in yards per catch. He's gone over that 74.5 receiving mark in 2 out of 3 games this season. He went over that mark in 12 out of 18 games in 2024, and he's gone over that line in 1 out of 1 career games against Pittsburgh. He had 7 receptions for 79 yards and a touchdown back in 2021. He, unsurprisingly, leads this team in target share and also led the team in target share last week when Wentz started. So that's a big thing, right? Because maybe he led the team in target share when McCarthy was in, but that's not the preferred option for Wentz. Wentz showed last week that he is still the preferred option. He had 7 total targets, 5 receptions for 75 yards. Also, Hawkinson. We talked about Hawkinson a little bit off the air. Pittsburgh ranks 8th worst in receiving yards allowed to tight ends this season. Now, Hawkinson doesn't rank in the top 100 in yards per catch this year, but he did rank 80th best last season. He's tied with Naylor for second place in target share, but he did rank second in target share last week in Carson Wentz's first start. He had 6 targets, so 1 less target than Justin Jefferson, 5 receptions, 49 yards, and a touchdown. He's gone over that line in 1 out of 3 games this season, 1 out of 3, excuse me. He's gone over that in 6 out of 11 games in 2024, and then he's 0-1 against Pittsburgh throughout his career, but he only had 1 target in that game. If Minnesota is forced to pass the ball, I do like these guys, and it's not necessarily forced to pass. It's, maybe they even opt to pass, right? But all in all, I think the X factor in this game is Jordan Mason. Jordan Mason against that, Pittsburgh defense that's ranked 26 in rushing yards allowed per game. Something else that we could look at is red zone rushing percentage. So let's see real quick. Jordan Mason, when he's inside the 20, he's getting 77.8% of the rushes. He has 7 attempts inside that red zone, 2 touchdowns. And then Minnesota, looks like Hawkinson has been the preferred red zone target this season through the air so far for Minnesota. So, yeah, I would probably – my favorite players in this game are probably Jordan Mason and TJ Hawkinson. Do you have any other comments on that game, JB?
Yeah, I like TJ Hawkinson as well. I expect him to have a pretty good game, to be honest. I like him.
Sounds
that
good.
that and Addison. I think Addison's gonna definitely add a wrinkle.
Yeah, that's a big acquisition. We always talk about players that are out. But we got Addison coming back in this game, so that's a big upgrade for this Minnesota offense. Absolutely. So okay, so we both like the Vikings to win by 3+ points. Let's move on to this next game. Washington Commanders at Atlanta Falcons. The Commanders are 3-0 against the Falcons since changing their name to the Commanders. Last that I checked, Atlanta's favored by 2.5, but I think that line may have dropped to 1.5 if I remember correctly. Let me double check here. Atlanta's favored by 1.5 now. So that line has moved since last that I saw. Jaden Daniels is out. Quarterback for Washington. Mariota's in. Terry McLaurin is out. Krosky Merritt, running back for Washington, is questionable but expected to play. Noah Brown is out.
Yeah,
What are your
Scary Terry's supposed to be out like 4 weeks.
Oh,
A Train from Not Moved podcast. His early prediction, bold prediction before the year: Scary Terry won't hit 1,000 yards this season, and it's looking pretty good. Yeah. I'm still going Commanders. Last week they showed that they believe in Mariota.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I haven't seen anything from Penix this season to make me
No.
feel eager to jump on Atlanta this game.
Exactly.
Now,
Quite the opposite. I've actually went the opposite way.
now you got to think that this Atlanta team. Thanks, Ivan. I don't know, man. I'm feeling a little bit fatigued today, man, but we'll work through it and do our best here. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. But I haven't seen anything from Michael Penix that makes me want to jump on the Falcons here. But you have to think that this Atlanta team is going to come out and play a little bit better than they did, against Carolina. They
You'd
have
hope
to be
so.
upset. Yeah, they have to be upset about that.
They put Kirk Cousins in there, for God's sakes. Are you serious?
Right. So just let me break down these statistics real quick. So I'm seeing that Atlanta has a decent passing advantage. I know that Penix hasn't been doing good this year, but the reason why I say that is because Atlanta has allowed the fewest passing yards per game this season. And Washington's below average in passing yards allowed per game. And then, I don't really see a clear rushing advantage, but I probably would give Atlanta a little bit of a rushing advantage here because Eckler's out, even though Krosky Merritt's been doing solid. But I'm just looking at the defenses as well. Both of them are above average in rushing yards allowed per game. I do see that Washington has a slight third down conversion advantage, a big red zone conversion advantage, and that's about it. Atlanta has a slight turnover differential advantage. I think some of these numbers could be skewed because, Jaden Daniels is out. But like you were saying, JB, this Washington Commander team proved that they could win against, the Raiders last week without Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, they scored like 44 points or something like that. 40 points.
Somebody that I was now I am going with Washington in this game, but somebody that I just want to mention is Ray McCloud for Atlanta, and the reason why I'm mentioning him is because Washington allows the second most yards per completion this year, and Ray McCloud. His over-under on receiving yards last that I saw was 17.5. He ranks 28th in the NFL in yards per catch this year. He's gone over that in 2 out of 3 games this year. Went over that in 12 out of 17 games in 2024. Excuse me. And he's 0-3 in his career to that over against Washington. But, if for any reason you guys liked Ray McCloud today, I think, that's a viable option. What big impact player do you see in this game, JB?
I don't know. I like your take on that. I like Ray. I haven't really looked into
Player
them
props.
too much.
Me neither.
But I do like that option, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I mean, if you guys have any questions about any player props or anything in this game, feel free to ask. But, other than that, I'm not going to overthink this one. And really, I'm not going to try to overthink anything this week. I don't think I have a lot of upset picks on the 1 p.m. Eastern time slate, but the afternoon games, I think I have 3 out of 4 of those games, at least the underdogs covering, but we'll get to that. Anyways, yeah, I don't trust Penix. Give me Washington here. New Orleans at Buffalo. Today is
Dumpster fire.
today's Spencer Rattlers and Show's birthday. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. I think it's like Shook. Tyler Shook. Both of the quarterbacks for New Orleans. They have the same birthday. So that's pretty cool. New Orleans does have a 7-5 all-time record against Buffalo. Now, last that I saw, Buffalo was favored in this game by 14.5. As I just mentioned, they've played 12 times against each other throughout history, and Buffalo has only won by 15 plus against the Saints one time throughout history. So if you're thinking Buffalo on the spread today, you have that working against you. Although I think I'm going to use the Bills unless I have some last second jitters, which I probably won't. But
Yeah,
I'm
not
going to
in that
go with
case.
I think I'm going to go with Buffalo today with my survivor pick. Anyways, I see Buffalo has a big passing advantage, although I think that they'll try to establish that run. They rank 27th in passing play percentage, so they've been calling a high percentage of rushing plays relative to the other teams in the league. This has blowout potential, which, in the later stages of the game could get Buffalo to call a high percentage of rushing plays. I have to believe that New Orleans will be forced to pass the ball in this game. So, I think, James Cook is definitely somebody worth looking into for this game. And Buffalo, I'm seeing that they have advantages everywhere, man. Big third down conversion advantage. Pretty decent sized red zone conversion advantage, big red zone attempts per game advantage. And I was kind of looking at all of the teams' red zone attempts per game, opponent red zone attempts per game, red zone conversion advantage, and opponent red zone conversion advantage. And this statistically seems like the best game to target for anytime touchdowns. Although there could be some sleepers that get some touchdowns in this game if Buffalo runs away with this one. Do you think that there's any chance for New Orleans to hang around in this one, JB? No.
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Yeah, absolutely not. There's no way. Now, they bench their starters.
I think that New Orleans will have to establish that run game, to be honest with you, because Buffalo has allowed the most rushing yards per game this season. Now they did play Baltimore, so that could definitely be part of that reason. But I'm kind of looking through Kamara's game log. Kamara's game log, and I'm trying to see, what he did last time he played Buffalo, and if he did do anything against Buffalo. It's been several years ago. I'm not seeing that he's played them anytime recently. So, anyways, I think they have to get him active and try to expose Buffalo's rush defense. But yeah, I have to think that Buffalo's going to run the ball here. I've talked about James Cook. But last that I saw, Josh Allen's over-under on rushing yards was 25.5. He ranks 19th in rushing yards per carry. Although New Orleans hasn't been allowing a whole bunch of rushing yards per attempt, they actually rank 6th best. But Josh Allen's gone over that in 2 out of 3 games this season. Went over that in half of his games in 2024. And he's played one career game against New Orleans, which he won, and he did go over that rushing total. So if you like that, you got that going for you. Now I'm just looking at New Orleans rushing yards allowed to quarterbacks this season. It looks like they're slightly above average. I think a better sample would be to see what they did against rushing quarterbacks last season, and they allowed the 8th most rushing yards to quarterbacks. So if you like Josh Allen today, I'd have rushing yards 26 plus. I'd have to lean towards the over on that. With that being said, I did the average margin of victory for this game. The difference, Buffalo's average margin of victory this season is plus 10.3. New Orleans is minus 14.3. The difference is Buffalo by 24.6 points. Once we have a bigger sample size on that, we could do home and away splits. But right now, we're just going to keep it simple. So just based on that alone, Buffalo by 20, about 24, 25 points in this one is what I'm seeing. And I'm not going to overthink it, man. I could see New Orleans covering if they get Kamara active, but yeah, I'm not going to overthink this. Give me Buffalo by 15 plus in this one. What about you, JB? Which way are you leaning on this? Buffalo?
Oh yeah, Buffalo all the way. Like I said, there's the only way that they can. I feel that they can win is if they sit all their starters. And it's week 4, it ain't happening. I don't even know if they can do that.
Moving on. Cleveland at Detroit. My gut, man. You guys know that last week I picked Cleveland on that spread to who did they play? Green Bay. So I really wasn't surprised when they beat the Packers. Dude, in my bones, I feel like Cleveland can get this game. I'm still going to choose Detroit by 10 plus. But man, I would not be surprised to see Cleveland keep this one close. Now, Detroit does have a 19-6 all-time series record against Cleveland, but Joe Flacco is a perfect 3-0 all-time against Detroit. Where I think Cleveland,
I had no idea about that. That's some crazy stat right there.
Yeah. Now, the passing play percentage suggests that Detroit will run the ball, call a high percentage of rushing plays, and the Browns will be forced to pass the ball. There's actually nobody that calls a higher percentage of passing plays this season than Cleveland. So I think it's really important to look at this Lions pass defense. They, they're going up against Flacco today. Now, Detroit does rank 16th, so about average in passing yards allowed per game. But if we look last year, and I know they were dealing with some injuries. But Detroit passing yards allowed per game, they allowed the second most passing yards in 2024. I'm looking at their schedule. They play Jordan Love, Caleb Williams, Lamar Jackson. I could see Flacco putting up some good numbers here, but we'll just kind of.
I just don't see enough weaponry over there, though. Jerry Jeudy only shows up in like more so important games.
Yeah.
Tougher teams. I don't know. I just don't see anything out there. Njoku, Flacco. Didn't they bench Flacco the week before and put in Gabriel?
And I kind of like that, Ivan. He's asking about the team total for the Lions going under. I think a lot of people are going to be, somewhat high on the Lions today after they dominated Baltimore. Let's go see what their team total is. Team total for Detroit, 27.5. Team total, 27.5 for Detroit. Cleveland's defense has been pretty good this year. You know what I mean? So I could definitely see that. Let's look at the Lions versus Browns history here and see how many times in the recent past Detroit has had 28 or more points against them. So 1 out of the last 2 games, 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4. 3 out of 5, 3 out of 6, 4 out of 7, 4 out of 8, 4 out of 9, 4 out of 10. So they've only achieved that 28 plus point total 4 out of the last 10 games against the Browns. 1, 2, 3. Let me just double check that. It's early. 4. Yeah. So for only 4 out of the last 10 games. And yeah, I think Cleveland's defense can definitely give the Detroit a run for their money.
Yeah, they can. I mean, just because their defense does that, they're not going to be able to keep up offensively, though. I don't think. I mean, they barely scored 10 points last week.
Yeah. So yeah, once again, I'm thinking that Detroit will run the ball. It's just how effectively will they run the ball? They did very well against Baltimore's rush defense last week. But Cleveland, they've allowed the least amount of rushing yards per game this year, man. So I don't know if it will be as easy against this Cleveland rush defense. I think this is going to be a good game, man. If you guys wanted to go Cleveland on the plus 10, I could definitely see that, man. I could definitely see that. I'm going to go with Detroit minus 10, but yeah, my gut feeling tells me Detroit or Cleveland keeps this one close.
Yeah, Detroit. I got Detroit all the way.
Who do you see being the big impact player in this one, JB?
Um, Probably Laporta.
Laporta.
Yeah, safe haven, little blanket.
I have to believe that it's going to be Gibbs, this Detroit rushing attack. I think they're going to try to run the ball a lot. They call a high percentage of rushing plays. But my player of the game in this one is just going to be, I'm going to keep it simple, man. Joe Flacco. I think Flacco is going to do okay.
Wow.
I think Flacco is going to do okay. Man, everything's telling me go Cleveland plus 10 here. You know what, guys? I don't do this a lot. I don't change my pick after I've made a pick a whole lot. But I'm going to do that right now. Give me the Cleveland Browns plus 10. I've convinced myself. I think they did a good job against Green Bay last week. And, yeah, man, let's move on to the next game. Give me the Browns plus 10. Carolina and New England. The all-time series record between these teams is tied 4-4. Last that I checked, New England's favored by 5.5 points. Seeing that Chuba Hubbard is questionable but is expected to play. Same with Ted McMillan, wide receiver for Carolina. Questionable but expected to play. Tight end for Carolina. Sanders is out. Leggett out. Can't wait till you get to the Giants and Chargers game. I have a feeling it's going to be a great game. Yeah, man. I'm thinking so too. I'm thinking
Right about that.
I said on my our first looks. When was that show, JB? Like Friday. I was leaning towards the Giants, man. But yeah, let's get to that game here in just a second. I could definitely see the Giants surprising some people today. What are you thinking about this game, JB? Carolina at New England.
Part of me wants to go and pick Carolina, to be honest with you, but I just got to go New England with it. I got to see a little bit more out of Carolina to actually believe that they could actually, continuously put up points like that, and beat a team like New England,
I'm seeing that New England has a slight passing advantage. I'm seeing that New England has a big rushing advantage. A third down conversion advantage. a big red zone attempts per game advantage, a decent sized sacks on the quarterback advantage. I was saying on Friday, whenever we did our last show, that I was leaning towards Carolina on this one. Go ahead and give me New England here by 6+. I understand, excuse me, that you want to take Carolina in this one, and I kind of do too, but the statistics are just kind of leading me to believe that New England takes care of business in this one. Who do I like for touchdowns in this game? So I think New England's going to see plenty of looks. And let's go see who's getting, red zone activity here for New England. New England. Okay, it's under NWE. Hunter Henry. He's seeing 41.7% of targets inside the 20 in the red zone. So if you're looking for a pass catcher, Hunter Henry seems, he leads this team in percentage of red zone targets this year. Carolina receiving yards allowed to tight ends, as decent as Carolina's passing yards allowed per game has been this season. They ranked 12th. They've been a little vulnerable to that tight end position. They rank 3rd worst in receiving yards allowed to tight ends. We could also, go to touchdowns allowed to tight ends last year, and they allowed the most touchdowns to tight ends, Ivan. And then in 2025, this year, we don't have a lot of touchdowns scored yet. So I feel like last year's a better sample size. But Carolina this season, let's see how many they've allowed 1 touchdown to a tight end. That would be, somebody that I would be thinking. But we also have to think of maybe Ramondre Stevenson. Let's go look at the red zone rushing attack for New England. By the way, I'm looking at profootballreference.com for this information. Ramondre Stevenson leads the team, which is no surprise, in percentage of rush attempts inside the 20-yard line, 44.4%. And then it's Drake May. All right, so I would be leaning towards out of those two guys. And I do think that New England will try to establish that run here. The question is it going to be Ramondre or Drake May? Let's go take a look at last year. Rushing touchdowns allowed to quarterbacks by the Panthers. They allowed the 4th most. And then rushing touchdowns allowed to running backs last year. Carolina actually did. Oh, that's receiving allowed to running backs. Rushing, they allowed the most. So I'd have to, lean towards Ramondre Stevenson and then Hunter Henry for New England. And then, for Carolina, I feel like they're going to have to put up the ball here. Hey, thanks, man. Hunter Henry, 41 receiving yards. We can go check his history against Carolina. So you said 41 plus receiving yards. Let's go take a look at Hunter Henry game log. Takes me to ESPN.com. And he's gone over that line in 2 out of 3 games this year, Ivan. Last year, he played 3, 6, 9, 10, 16 games, right? And he went over that line in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. what did I say? 16. So half of his games last year, he went over that line. And then, let's see what he's done throughout history against Carolina. This could take a little bit of time, so please bear with me. Let's see if he's played against Carolina anytime throughout his career. He had only 19 yards against them in 2021, but did have a touchdown catch. 2020 had 50 yards receiving, no touchdown catch. Obviously, I think the more current data is probably more valuable here, especially since he's played for different teams or a different team. I'm worried about how much New England's going to pass, but they do have a decent. They have a above average passing play percentage, so they do call a higher percentage of passing plays than league average. But if they get ahead in this game, I just feel like they're going to pound the rock, man. So, but yeah, Ivan, I would probably lean towards the over on that. I think Carolina could, kind of keep it close here. I mean, they just beat the Falcons 30-0. I think that was a statement game. So yeah, I could see Carolina doing that. Yeah, sounds good, man. And then, as far as Carolina, I have to believe that they will try to throw the ball a little bit more in this one. New England is allowing a ton of yards per completion to opponents this year. They're just allowing a lot of passing yards per game this year. So Ted McMillan ranks 19th in yards per catch. He's gone over that in 2 out of 3 games this year. The 64.5 receiving line is what it was last that I checked. He's gone over that in 2 out of 3 games this year. New England's allowed the 8th most receiving yards to wide receivers. If for any reason you like maybe Hubbard receiving yards or, his pass catching abilities, New England allows the 5th most receiving yards to running backs this year. So I could see those two guys getting active in the passing game, specifically McMillan. But let's go see, I know that you asked about touchdown players earlier in this game. So let's go see, for Carolina, who's getting red zone activity. It's actually Rico Dowdle. He has 50% of the rush attempts on this Panthers team, which leads the team in rushing attempts percentage in the red zone. So I could see, him doing okay. And then but I'd have to lean more towards a receiver for Carolina. I have to believe that they'll be trying to pass a little bit more. Renfro, man. With Sanders being out and then Leggett, Hunter, hold on real quick.
Leggett's his big option out there.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, dude. Renfro leads the Panthers in red zone target percentage, red zone target share. The next man up is Sanders, who's out. And then the next man up after that's Leggett, who's out.
Wow.
So I think Hunter Renfro could be a sneaky play here for an anytime touchdown for Carolina.
Yeah, I like Hunter Renfro in that. Like I said, these other options are out, down. That just makes
A
perfect
couple of
sense.
these guys are questionable. McMillan,
Yeah, yeah.
Hubbard. That maybe, force Carolina to use Renfro a little bit. I like what I see from Renfro, actually. So, wait, did you cover Eagles Bucks? No. For a touchdown, face pink drinking tea. Oh, it's all right, Ivan. Rico Dowdle, yeah. Yeah, I can see it, man. Now, what are Dowdle's? Let me go check one other thing here. Trying to see, if Dowdle has any receiving red zone targets. I don't really see anything on that. But you know what, Ivan? He leads this team, and well, I don't really know how to interpret that. I could see it happening. Man. I could see it happening, man. Yeah, it's early, guys.
Man.
Yeah, Dowdle leads the Panthers in percentage of red zone rush attempts. So I could definitely see it. I'll have to lean towards Renfro getting a touchdown today for Carolina. Anyways, I'm done talking in circles about this one. Give me New England to win this one by 6+ points. JB.
Yeah, I'm gonna take New England. By a tutty.
All right. Let's move on. Chargers and Giants. Ivan was ready for this one. The Chargers lead the all-time series 8-5 against the New York Football Giants. Tyrone Tracy is out of this game, which could give Scatterboo some upside here. Singletary. Will Disley is out for the Chargers. I do see that the Chargers have a good sized passing advantage in this game, but the Giants' passing attack is really unknown with their new starter,
Yep.
Jackson Dart, this week.
Yep.
What are you thinking about this, JB?
Man, I mean, I like it. I like the change of quarterback, the possibility, the shake up, the spark it might add. You never know what they might kindle out there. Call them Amazon. So like you dude, I like the moxie that Dark brings, the attitude. I like the strength of his arm. I think between him and Scatterboo's got that kind of grittiness, you know what I'm saying? And the Neighbors. I think between them three, dude, you got it set. You just gotta really they gotta figure something out with their line. But I think with the way that their line is and how athletic that Dart is, I think he'll be fine. A lot of people are like, "Oh my gosh, you're going against, you know, LA Chargers defense," but I'm anybody can have a good day, and everybody also has a bad day. So I'm just saying, man,
Here's
I'm gonna
something
breeze
here.
this.
Although the Chargers' defense has been good this year, they have allowed the second most rushing yards to quarterbacks this year.
I'm telling you, bro, Jackson Dart's gonna be rushing, and and you got Herbert over there blazing bolts like Zeus and whatnot. But I mean, Jackson's gonna be. I like it. I like it. I do. I, I think it's a trap game. I think the Chargers get their first L. I wouldn't be surprised. To be honest with you.
I wouldn't be surprised either. When we talked about this game earlier this week, I was telling you, man, I'm not sleeping on the Giants in this game.
Yeah, I'm not either. We said that with Charby. You know, I agree with you. The more that we've looked over it and everything like that, it just seems like one of them games. Like I said last year when I picked Cleveland, when Jameis Winston came in, what happened? They won. You know, they didn't win the week after, but they beat the Ravens the week after that. You know, so it can definitely happen, man.
It's tough for me to analyze this game statistically because we have a new rookie starter. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but just talking about it with you, man. Action Jackson about to rush for 40 and a touchdown with one passing TD, says Dollface Gremlin. All right, man.
I don't dislike it.
Yeah, I could see it, man. And I think, you know, based on this season, that's where the Chargers have been most vulnerable is quarterback rushing yards allowed. So I think Dart's going to have to get active. I see a lot of advantages here for the Chargers, though. A big third down conversion advantage, a big red zone conversion advantage, a red zone attempts per game advantage. But that's why the Giants are kind of, you know, switching quarterbacks here. So, um, man, before the show, I was just thinking to myself, I'm going with the Chargers here. I'm not going to overanalyze this. I'm taking the Chargers, but scratch that. Give me the Giants +6 here. Give me the Giants to not lose this game by more than 6 points or possibly win this game. I would love to see the Giants win this game.
Yeah, I would too. More than one reason.
Now, somebody to keep in mind here, I think. Now, I would think that the Chargers will run a little more here, and Giants will be forced to pass a little bit more. But somebody I just have on my notes here is Quentin Johnston, receiving yards over under 50.5. The Giants allowed the third most receiving yards to wide receivers this year. Quentin Johnston ranks ninth in yards per catch. He's gone over that line in all 3 games this year, but he only went over that line in 3 out of 16 games last season, and he's never played against the Giants. I think that's somebody to just keep in mind, really just because of his yards per catch. Man, the Giants allow the second most rushing yards per game this year. They allowed the 5th most rushing yards to running backs. If you like Omarion Hampton here, guys, I could definitely see him getting into the end zone and or picking up a lot of yards. And we can go look real quick to see the Chargers red zone rushing. LAC. He's getting 72.7% of the rush attempts inside the red zone. And then it's Herbert. So, man, I have to think that Omarion Hampton's a pretty solid option for an anytime touchdown. How are you feeling about that, JB?
Shoot, I keep forgetting to hit this mute button. 19 minutes till game time in Dublin. That's crazy. That's so early. I can't believe it. Man, to be honest with you, I don't really know, man.
Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, to be honest with you, I really don't.
Fair enough, man. So we both like the Giants to win the game or lose by 6 points or less. Is that right?
Yeah. I think that the Giants, like I said, I think the Giants could potentially win this game. The one thing I do not like though, after hearing that about them giving up all them passing yards, Herbert's been raining bolts, bro. So
And yeah, dude, the Chargers rank second in passing yards per game. The
yeah,
Giants have allowed, 32, 31, 30, the fifth most passing yards per game to opposing teams, man. But, the Giants did play against Jaden Daniels, Dak, and Mahomes. So, but they're not going up against really an easier quarterback here with Herbert.
right. Yeah, Herbert's playing out of his mind right now. You think, the guy drank some type of potion in the off season or something,
And if you guys are looking for, a Los Angeles Charger receiving touchdown, let's go see who's been their red zone threat so far this year. Keenan Allen and Quentin Johnston. So I would just mention Quentin Johnston. That's who I would probably lean towards.
Keenan
getting a-
in third and Keenan.
That's who I would go with if I were to pick a pass catching touchdown. Just I think a lot of people will be going with Keenan Allen here. If they do pick a receiver, I'm going to get sleepy with it and go Quentin Johnston. Not just that, but I like his yards per catch this season. He ranks ninth best in yards per catch. So, but all right, let's move on to the next one. Keenan Allen, you love, Ivan. Philadelphia at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay leads the all-time series 13-11. Tampa Bay has actually won their last 4 out of 5 games against Philly. Mike Evans is out. With that being said, Chris Godwin looks like he's in line to get into this game. Baker Mayfield, last that I saw, was also questionable, but he's expected to play. I think a lot of people are waiting for the Eagles' downfall, and I think a lot of people will be going with Tampa Bay in this game, not just because, Tampa Bay can actually give them a run for their money, but because they want to also see Philadelphia lose. Are you feeling like this is the game, JB, where the Eagles get knocked off?
I mean, it very well could be, but I don't. I'm going with the Eagles because of Mike Evans really being out. I think that passing game is not the same without Mike, whereas it was more so the same when they were without Godwin last year. So good win. So yeah, I think Eagles are gonna end up taking this. I just don't see the Bucks being able to keep up, to be honest with you. I mean they can keep up, but I think Mike Evans is a big piece, a big
Absolutely.
piece of offense,
Absolutely.
It's
Yeah,
different,
man.
like I said, it's different if you're missing Godwin versus Evans,
I think they need to be full strength. If they're
Yeah.
full strength, man, I'll probably go with Tampa Bay in this one. But yeah, dude, with Mike Evans being out and Godwin, with this being possibly his first game back, one has to think that he could be limited in some fashion.
Right.
So, I do see some advantages here for Tampa Bay, though. I see that they have a slight passing advantage in regards to passing yards per game. They have a pretty decent sized rushing advantage according to the numbers. A slight red zone attempts per game advantage, a sacks on the quarterback advantage. But I think that's the key factor there, man, is Mike Evans being out of this game. I feel like they need to be full strength to beat this Philadelphia team. Now, does Philly cover this one? I don't know. After last week, man, I wouldn't put anything past them. That was a crazy cover, blocking that field goal, returning it for a touchdown.
Yep.
I mean, I have to lean towards the Eagles for winning this one by 4+ points. Now, I do think the Eagles will absolutely run the ball. They call the highest percentage of rushing plays this season. With that being said, the Bucks have done a good job at defending against the run. But the Bucks have allowed the 4th most rushing yards to quarterbacks. If you like Jalen Hurts rushing yards today, guys, you have that working with you. Rashad White was somebody that I was looking at, guys. And here's why. Philadelphia is allowing a lot of rushing yards per rush attempt. And Rashad White ranks 14th best in the NFL in yards per carry. His rushing line is at 16.5, so it's not extremely high. And he went over that line in 14 out of 17 games in 2024. He's gone over that in 3 out of 3 career games against Philadelphia. I think the question is, will he get the workload? But that's definitely somebody that I would be possibly looking to target here, guys. Rashad White over those 16.5 rushing yards. ESPN, NFL Net. JB?
Yeah, I think it's NFL Network. I know
rushing touchdowns allowed to quarterbacks last year, Ivan. Tampa Bay allowed the 3rd most rushing touchdowns to quarterbacks last year. And then didn't Dollface Gremlin say Bucks are really banged up? Oh, especially on offense. Okay, I thought he said defense. And then we can also go look at Jalen Hurts' game log, right? So let me see if Jalen Hurts has played against Tampa Bay anytime throughout his career here. He had a rushing touchdown last time they played.
Oh, wow.
8 carries, 20 rushing yards, and a rushing touchdown. Let's go see in 2023. He didn't have a rushing touchdown there in the playoffs. He only had 1 carry, though, against Tampa Bay. He had another rushing touchdown, 10 carries, 28 yards back in 2023. So that's some good history there. I like it, Ivan.
I think, let me see.
8 carries for 39 yards and a touchdown, or 0 touchdowns in 2021. He had 2 rushing touchdowns against them in 2021 regular season. Looks like he has some solid history here, man, against Tampa Bay. I like it.
Yeah, it's NFL Network.
Popcorn.
It's on NFL Network. It's not on yet, yo.
Baker Mayfield rushing touchdown, says Ivan. Rushing touchdown, Philadelphia. Let's see how many rushing touchdowns they allowed last season to quarterbacks. 3. And which was above average. Let's go check Baker Mayfield's game log real quick and see if he's had some good history. He had a touchdown rush last time that he played Philadelphia in 2024. Did not in the playoffs there. Did not in that last game. In 2023 regular season game. Philadelphia. He didn't in that one. So Baker Mayfield doesn't have as good a history getting rushing touchdowns against Philadelphia as Jalen Hurts does against Tampa Bay. Hey, yeah, but maybe you saw something that makes you really like Baker Mayfield to get one today. I don't see enough information to persuade me to go one way or another, but I do like Jalen Hurts getting one. Something else that we can do, man, is look at red zone rushing and see who for this Philadelphia team. I mean, Saquon leads the team in rushing attempts percentage at 50%, but then it's Jalen Hurts at 45.5%. So, yeah, I like it, dude.
Yeah, I do too.
What about Baker? We can look at the other side there. Baker, Tampa Bay. What, JB?
With how their tackles and being beat up like that, I like Philly in it. I mean, I already did, just mainly because.
Bucky Irving is seeing a lot of red zone activity. I'd have to, if they run one in, yeah, I'd have to lean towards Bucky, but anyways, yeah, man, I think people are choosing Tampa Bay here, thinking it's going to be the upset, and I could see Jalen Hurts rushing for one or multiple touchdowns, and
Yeah, the tush
through a
push,
tush
man.
push, yeah, through the
Yeah.
tush push.
Little brotherly shove, you know what I'm saying?
And just NFL fans all around the world are mad once again.
Yep. No false starts called.
Yeah, give me Philly here. Moving on, Tennessee at Houston. You got Philly in that one too, JB, by 4+.
Yeah, I got Philly.
Tennessee at Houston. Today's Tyler Lockett's birthday. Tennessee leads the all-time series against Houston, 24 wins, 24-22 wins. I see that Houston has a slight passing advantage in this game. Houston has a good rushing advantage in this one. But Tennessee, believe it or not, I'm seeing that they have a slight third down conversion advantage, red zone conversion advantage, and a red zone attempts per game advantage. Seeing that Houston has a huge sacks on the quarterback advantage.
Wow.
That's a big advantage. Houston ranks 6th best in sacks per game, and Tennessee allows the most sacks per game to their quarterback this year at all the NFL teams. So I think Ward can be under some heavy pressure today, and that's not good for a young quarterback, man.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Part of me wants to go with Tennessee on this game, but I just can't, man. I just can't. Anytime you see a young quarterback that's projected to be under heavy duress, that's a dangerous situation to get involved with. So I'm going to have to lean towards Houston winning this one by 7+. Are you on the same boat, JB?
Yeah, I am.
I wish I had some more player props for you guys. If you guys have any questions about any, feel free to ask. But something that I was looking for here is possibly Nick Chubb rushing yards. And the reason being is because Tennessee allows the 4th most rushing yards per game. All right. Also, Tennessee allows the 4th most rushing yards per attempt.
Wow.
Nick Chubb ranks 26th best in the NFL in yards per carry. He's gone over this line in 1 out of 1 career games against Tennessee. Tennessee has allowed the 3rd most rushing yards to running backs. I think Nick Chubb gets the 48+ rushing yards here today. I think Houston can impose their will on the ground here against Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as a touchdown rush goes, I mean, that's where Tennessee was vulnerable last year, was to that rushing attack. And then we can go to the red zone attempts. So let me pull up the red zone thing that I've been looking at this morning. Houston, Nick Chubb leads this team in rushing attempt percentage, 40% of the red zone rush attempts. Woody Marks is at 20%. So is Pierce and Stroud. But yeah, I'd have to lean towards Chubb, maybe getting a touchdown in this one. What are your thoughts on Nick Chubb getting a touchdown, JB?
The guy runs in mud, man. I hope he can do something. I'll take the I'll take it. I'll take the tutty
I'd
on him.
rather I'd rather go with his yards, I think, and really just because Houston ranks last in red zone attempts per game, and
Uh-huh.
they rank last in red zone conversion rate. So I'd be leaning more towards Chubb's rushing yards, but this could definitely be a game where Houston gets some red zone touchdowns. Tennessee's red zone defense, I just want to bring this up real quick. They're allowing a lot of red zone attempts per game, but they've been holding up decently when teams are entering in the red zone against them. They rank eighth best in opponent red zone conversion rate. So they're not doing terrible. I'm trying to see if Nick Chubb has any history. I mean, if he does, obviously this isn't the same running back as he once was, but
Right.
I'm not
Definitely he has
seeing
age.
he played 10 even back in 2019. He didn't have a touchdown against Tennessee. Looks like that was his only career game against them. I would just have to lean more towards him getting 48 plus rushing yards.
I'm taking for the tutty. I don't like him for the rushing yards. I don't think he's gonna get very many.
Like, come on. Yeah, dude. The Texans are definitely like struggling, man.
Yeah, it's very sad.
I think we all expected a little bit more from them this year. Maybe this is the game. But yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Texans Texans to win this game by 7+ points. You too, JB?
Yep. Yep, most definitely.
Definitely not a spot that I love. Colts at Rams. The Colts lead the all-time series 23-22-2 against the Rams. The Rams are 3-0 against the Colts, though, since moving to Los Angeles.
Wow.
Devontae Adams is questionable to play, but is expected. Alec Pierce is out for Indianapolis, which I think is a pretty big blow. And then Higbee's questionable tight end for the Rams, last that I checked. I see Indianapolis has a slight passing advantage, a pretty decent-sized rushing advantage, red zone attempts per game advantage. And those are the three big advantages that I see for Indianapolis. What are your thoughts on this one, JB?
I said the other day, man, Danny's throwing dimes right to the bank. You know, he's depositing that and depositing his off season and making something out of it. You know, I like the Colts, man. Give me Danny dimes.
You know, the last year me would go with the Rams in this one. I like Matthew Stafford.
Yeah. It makes sense, right?
But I can't in this one, man. I got to lean towards the Colts. Also, I don't know if I mentioned this, but I see that the Colts have a pretty good size turnover differential advantage. Nobody has a higher turnover differential than the Colts this year at +5. I think, last week I really liked Jonathan Taylor. You guys heard me saying that.
Old JT.
This week, I think it's a little bit of a taller task. I think, I could see Daniel Jones rushing a little bit in this game, as the Rams allow the 10th most rushing yards to quarterbacks this year. Who do you see being the big impact player in this one, JB? Daniel Jones.
Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Daniel Jones' rushing attack is what I what I think is worth keeping an eye on, man.
I can see it too. That could definitely be an X factor in the whole ordeal. He does use his legs. He's not scared to run. I mean, he will run. I like it, but I think Jonathan Taylor can be that what if like I think he can add quite a bit.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a deciding factor, especially like goal line situations.
Yeah. Well, and it's worth mentioning that the Rams have allowed more rushing yards per game this season than passing yards per game. So, yeah, I can see Jonathan Taylor having a decent game. Maybe not like last week. What was it, 3 touchdowns and
Yeah,
a bunch of yards, but he could probably have a solid game here.
yeah, he balled out last week.
So we're both leaning towards the Colts to either win this game or lose by no more than 3 points.
Yep.
Right.
And wow, this is really cool. I'm looking at the game right now, and how the just kicked off. How the clouds are sitting. It's crazy. It don't even look real. We're live in Dublin.
Jacksonville and San Francisco. San Francisco's favored to win this one by 3.5 points. Last that I checked, they have a 5-2 all-time series record against Jacksonville. San Francisco has won 5 games in a row against Jacksonville. Pearsall's questionable but expected to play. Jawan Jennings questionable but expected to play. What are your first thoughts on this one, JB?
I'm sorry. Repeat that.
Jacksonville at San Francisco.
Jacksonville.
It's early, man.
I like Jacksonville. I know what's his face is back. I want to say Blake Bortles was so wrong. Brock Purdy, but here's the thing: Ricky Pearsall's out.
No.
Yeah, no.
No, he's questionable but expected to play.
Really? Yeah. Otis was saying last night he does not expect him to play. So,
he's slated to play. Is what I'm seeing right here. Slated to play Sunday versus Jacksonville.
We'll see how that goes. I don't think he's necessarily. Even if he does, I don't think it's going to be. I don't care. I like their defense. I like Jacksonville's defense. I think what Jacksonville's got cooking over there is what's going to be the difference maker in it. They have not really been scoring too many tutties like that for real with the 49ers. I got Jacksonville.
The line suggests that Jacksonville is going to, rely on the pass a little bit more, and San Francisco can call a little bit more rushing plays. San Francisco ranks 5th in passing yards allowed per game, but they haven't played against any big-time quarterbacks this season. However, in 2024, San Francisco ranked 4th in passing yards per game allowed. So I think I have to trust their pass defense against Lawrence today. I think the question is who will have more success, the Jags passing offense or the 49ers rushing attack? The Jacksonville Jaguars defended well against the run this season, but they ranked 24th in rushing yards allowed per game last year. The 49ers have Christian McCaffrey. I think, he could have a good game here. And I think, let's see who Jacksonville's played. They've played Carolina, Cincinnati, and Houston. I think this is probably their toughest test. Rodgers got sacked right away.
Yep. They already got the ball. The Vikings already got the ball. Wentz coming in. Mason's starter. Jeffrey Addison Thielen. Nice little squad right there.
Long story short, man, I think, San Francisco has a big 3rd down conversion advantage. But I do see some, advantages for Jacksonville. I just think some of these numbers are skewed for Jacksonville. I think they've played some weak opponents this year. If Jacksonville wins this game, I'll take them seriously. But they have to prove that to me here. Give me the Niners to win this one by 4+.
Yeah, we're split. Split
on that one.
Yeah.
Baltimore, Kansas City. The Chiefs lead the all-time series 9-5 against Baltimore. Mahomes has a 5-1 career record against the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are favored by 2.5 points in this game. Isaiah Likely is questionable, but is expected to play in this game. I see that the Chiefs have a pretty big passing advantage. One of those reasons being is because Baltimore allows the second most passing yards per game this year. They were not good defending against the pass last year either. Worthy's back, JB?
Yep. Worthy, Tyquan Thornton, blaze and speed, baby. That's right.
Yeah, I'm with you, Ivan. I like Kansas City in this one as well. I see Kansas City has a pretty big sacks advantage, a slight turnover differential advantage, and the passing advantage. I don't really see a clear rushing advantage between these two teams. Although I'd probably have to lean towards Baltimore on that one, right? I think they went up against a very tough rush defense last week with Detroit. How do you feel about Kansas City's rush defense, JB?
I like it. As the year goes on, we will get better and better, right? I like the matchup, man. I like where they got Jalen Rose coming in, wide receiver, except Worthy's back with a deep threat. We all know about, Tyquan Thornton taking it deep, taking top off defense twice, back-to-back plays, same play. So like I don't know, man. I think the Chiefs can expose their secondary quite a bit. I think as well, what do you call it? The Ravens give up the most to tight ends right now. I expect Kelsey and Noah Gray to eat tomorrow. Well, today.
Receiving yards allowed to tight ends. The Chiefs allowed the most receiving yards to tight ends last year. So I could see Isaiah Likely and or Mark Andrews picking up some receiving yards. Baltimore last year was below average at defending against that tight end position as well. So I could see Kelsey having a good day, possibly Noah Gray. Kelsey touchdown, Mahomes rush attempts, says Ivan. Yeah. Also, I think this game is more meaningful for the Chiefs than it is Baltimore. Now, don't get me wrong. It's important for both teams, especially considering their records right now. But if you look at the Chiefs' upcoming schedule, they have a couple of tough games. I think they play Detroit and another really tough team, maybe like Buffalo or something like that. When I looked at the Baltimore Ravens schedule, they have a very winnable schedule after this game. So, also this game is in Kansas City, man. I feel like this is like a must win for Kansas City. Are you getting those same vibes, JB?
Yeah. Kansas City is a must win for us. I don't know about a must win. It's the most it's more important to us, right? Because if we don't win it, with the Chargers being up like that in the conference, being up in the division, winning 3 games, it's dude, if they lose, they could really fall behind that division. Whereas between Pittsburgh and Baltimore, we all know about Cincinnati and Cleveland, dumpster fires. We don't really have to worry about that. They can afford to lose a game. They can afford to lose a game. You know, Chiefs can't, man. Chiefs got to win this. I mean, if they lose it, it doesn't mean that they're out of it. It just means they really can't lose again.
I think this is probably one of my favorite plays today is the Chiefs. They're last I saw +2.5. You know, maybe move it up to +3. I mean, I think they win the game.
Wow.
But you know, I could be wrong. But you know, I'd say that's one of my favorite plays, if not my favorite play.
Wow, Minnesota just got lucky. They just fumbled the ball.
Oh
and
wow!
What's his
He went out of
face?
bounds, right?
Well, no, yeah, but no. So they replayed it, and the ball was in play. The dude went out of bounds, but while his leg was out of bounds, he reached over and touched the ball, which caused the ball to be out of bounds.
Oh,
No
that's
touching, no
wild,
turnover.
dude. I saw that
Yeah.
Jalen Ramsey returned a fumble recovery to the house.
Yeah, and then he did a
Back.
little thing. Hey, he did a little thing. He got to the end zone. He started holding his hammy, and he was limping into the end zone. And then he dropped the ball, and he started doing Justin Jefferson. Sick.
Yeah, man. I wish I did have some like more player props ready for you guys and stuff. But you know, man, I got into looking into some other things yesterday, and I just didn't have the time for as many player props as I usually do. But this last game here, Chicago at Raiders. The Raiders, the Bears lead the all-time series 9-8 against the Raiders. The Bears are 2-0 against the Raiders since the Raiders moved to Las Vegas.
Vegas, baby.
Swift is questionable but expected to play. Colston Loveland questionable but expected to play. Tied in for the Bears. Who do you like in this one, JB?
The Bears.
I like the Bears too, man, because we saw what they did against the Dallas Cowboys pass defense last week.
Yep.
The Raiders are below average in passing yards allowed per game as well. I think Geno Smith though can have a pretty good game against this Bears pass defense. The Bears pass defense is below average as well. If you guys like the over in this, that's just like my natural feeling. What will happen? I think this game has over potential. Chicago, I think, does have a rushing advantage, though, guys. You know, Genty still hasn't had his breakthrough game. I think this is another good opportunity for him, though. Chicago ranks 26 in rushing yards allowed per game, but Chicago has a big third down conversion advantage, a red zone conversion advantage, a pretty good size turnover differential advantage. I got to lean towards the Bears here, man. What about you, JB? Bear down?
Bear down. I'm bearing down with the Bears, man.
If you guys have any player prop questions, yeah, feel free to let us know. But I'll definitely try to do a better job at the player props and whatnot next week. A couple guys in mind that I had in mind for this game, though, on the Raiders side is Dante Thornton. He ranks 6th best in the NFL in yards per catch. And Chicago ranks 24th in opponent yards per completion. They rank 6th worst in receiving yards allowed to wide receivers. And then Trey Tucker. He ranks 14th in yards per catch. And those were two guys that I had in mind for the Raiders, and then Luther Burden and Odunze for the Bears. Probably more Odunze. Odunze, I think, has been having a pretty good year. So,
Odunze has.
Ooh, you like the Raiders in this one, Ivan?
Ooh, wow. That's wild. It's not bad, you know what I mean? Like I picked the Ravens last week, right? I'm not the Ravens, but the Raiders. I
I did too against
wanted
Washington.
to pick, and I wanted to pick Cleveland. I should have flopped them.
Mm-hmm.
This week I want to go the opposite way. I actually really want to go Cleveland again, but I don't think it's the right time to pick Cleveland yet.
It's basically kind of in my eyes here, Caleb Williams versus Geno Smith. Ivan's going with Geno over Caleb, and if Vegas is at home, I could see it, man. I don't think that's too much of a I don't think that's too far fetched at all, especially with the Raiders being favorites to win this game. I think at the end of the day, though, I trust DeAndre Swift in this Bears rushing attack more than the Raiders rushing attack, man.
Oh man, something just happened out there. I totally missed it, Ivan. I'm sorry. I don't know what the heck just happened, but you got Justin Jefferson in tears on the sideline right now.
Oh no.
Yeah, somebody's hurt. You got Carson Wentz down the field on his knees. They stopped the game. Jay Jettis is out there on the sideline, like sweat and bone. Got one of them faces only a mother could love. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Are you streaming this, JB?
Yep.
Cool, man. I can't wait to watch that one. Well, let's just cover this Cowboys game real quick and call it a session, man. So Green Bay at Dallas. The Packers have a 22-17 all-time record against the Cowboys. The Packers have won the last 9 out of 10 games against Dallas. The Packers have won 5 in a row against Dallas. Dak has a 1-5 career record against Green Bay. CeeDee Lamb is out. Are you leaning towards Green Bay in this one? No questions asked, JB.
Yeah, I mean, the way that their defense is playing. Micah having his game to come back. I think he's going to show out and, wreak havoc on Dak. Their offense isn't looking too good with or without CD, and it looks even worse without CD. Jerry said you guys were all in last year. Still wondering where the push of the chips was.
Dude, I've been really good on primetime games this year. I was telling you that. I think I maybe only missed like 1 or 2, and it was the Chiefs against the Chargers. It was like the only, it was like one of the only primetime games that I predicted wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I've been feeling good about these primetime games.
Yeah, I've definitely seen.
And yeah, dude, I mean the proof is in the pudding. If you go back and watch some videos, but
yep.
And there were even a couple games I called off the air that were prime time. I had a buddy text me, and we had like a double header on Monday night one night, and got both of those right. But here's a game where I'm thinking the Packers win, but the Cowboys cover. Thinking the Cowboys cover. I think a lot of people are going to be on, Green Bay in this one, and especially with CeeDee Lamb being out, and I think. Dallas keeps it somewhat close here. I do want to mention Romeo Doubs here, though, guys. The Cowboys have allowed the most receiving yards to wide receivers this year. Wow. Romeo Doubs had his single game high record for receiving yards against Dallas at one point in his career. And the only game he's ever played against Dallas. He had 6 targets, 6 receptions for 151 yards and a touchdown. He ranks 8th best in the NFL in yards per catch, and the Cowboys allow the most yardage per completion to opposing teams this year. I think this is a good spot for Doubs to get over that 42.5 receiving yards.
I like Doubs.
Yeah, man. I think this could be a good spot for him. And guys, I do see a lot of statistical advantages for Green Bay in this one. A big sacks on the quarterback advantage, big red zone attempts advantage, a big red zone conversion advantage, a big third down conversion advantage. The only thing that I could say is seems like the Cowboys may have like a slight rushing advantage in this game. But once
A
again,
little bit.
I just think a lot of people are going to be on Green Bay here for good reasons. And I do think Green Bay wins, but give me the Cowboys +7 here because
Ooh.
I truly, and we talk about this on previous shows. I'm unfortunately a Dallas Cowboys fan. Anytime I feel like the Cowboys are going to lose, they win. Anytime I feel like they're going to win, they lose. I feel like they lose this one, so I wouldn't be surprised if they won. But let's do Cowboys +7 here. What are you thinking, JB?
I got Green Bay winning.
By 7+?
Yeah. I do want to note, I know last night we were talking a little bit about this game, right, off air, Pittsburgh and Minnesota.
Yes.
Rodgers is doing exactly what you said. He's getting that ball out quick. He didn't even complete his backup, and he was slinging that ball right out to DK.
Mm-hmm.
5 yards. He didn't care. He just walking backwards, slinging it. Get it out there. Trying to slow down that pass rush. You can tell. They're running outside the tackle. You see a little bit difference of in their team right now. Warren's out as well. There is a side note. I know the Chiefs, man. I know it wasn't brought up. Chris Jones has been added to the injury report. Yeah, it's a non-injury. His aunt went on to bigger and better things, and he'll be back. He's flying back, and he'll be back in time for the game. Okay. Just there is something to possibly take note. His regiment's going to be off a little bit. He is going to be on an airplane jet lag right before him. He's flying right now, going to the funeral, and he's going to be back before the game. So, we'll see how this guy performs. He hasn't really performed the best recently. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would say those, are probably my favorite two plays this week. The Chiefs +2.5. I'd move it to 3, and the Cowboys +7.
Okay.
What's your favorite play this week, JB?
Team?
Mm-hmm. Anything. It could be a player scoring a touchdown or a team.
DK's doing his thing right now. Mossing him. I like what do you call it? We're gonna go with we're gonna go with an upset. We're gonna go with Jacksonville or the Niners. I like that.
Actually, you like that? I actually feel pretty decently about San Francisco getting that win. I know we've been kind of butting heads on that one all week, but that'll be a fun game to watch for sure, man. My upset of the week, man. A team that is underdog. I mean, I'm not going to call it like the Chiefs here. I think it's going to come down to either the Giants beating the Chargers or Cleveland beating Detroit. Cleveland had a big upset win last week. Are they really going to do it again? Yes.
That's hard to tell.
Cleveland beating the Lions.
Pittsburgh
even says the Giants. All right.
Pittsburgh just drove all the way down the field, and they're on the 7-yard line about to score.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's about to be a game. I still want to take my
and DK Metcalf. We mentioned this earlier, man. Rodgers threw the ball, what was it, JB, 54 times against Minnesota last year, and Garrett Wilson had 23 targets in that game. if we were talking about if he has that same philosophy, DK Metcalf could see a bunch of targets. He has
Yep.
3 targets on 3 receptions already for 42 yards. Let's see if the Steelers get it in here.
They're gonna probably hand it off right here. Play action. Yep, handed it off. Number 14. Who was number 14? Touchdown.
Gainwell.
Yep.
And Dollface Gremlin was mentioning it on his episode yesterday. That's one good thing that the Pittsburgh Steelers have going for them.
Yeah.
When they get into the red zone, dude, they've been getting touchdowns. So
that's what I'm saying. Like, and they drove down that field and did that. They did that.
Yeah. All right, guys. Appreciate you guys for joining. JB
Always.
and I tried to get a video out for this Pittsburgh Steelers and Vikings game last night. We did like 3 takes, and we were just too tired.
It was bad. We got it up. We were like, yeah, man, all right, let's do it. And within the first 8 seconds, we were like, all right, now we should have kept it and made some bloopers.
We wasted like 2 hours last night dissecting the Vikings and Pittsburgh game, and just it was a mess. But note to self, I'm not very good at the night shows, and
it's all good. It happens, player.
But hey, man, tomorrow night, JB, let's get some rest. Let's watch some football today.
Yes, sir.
Come back with some player props and whatnot for the Monday night football games tomorrow night. We have the Jets and Dolphins, and we have Cincinnati and Denver. I think there are some player props that I was looking at that I like in these games, and yeah, man.
Yeah, we can get this together. We can do it. We'll be good. We got tonight, guys. For all of you guys that know or do not know, I do be streaming. Go over to the TikTok, JB Sport Talk, Not Move Podcast. Type in NMP, Not Move Podcast. Anybody that's a part of NMP, Not Move Podcast, Better is probably over there. Games are on, man. We do giveaways. We got another show coming on about the time here in 12 p.m. Eastern time. So we got about 3 hours. We'll be doing projections and some predictions and some some NFL news, injuries for the later games. Well, 12 o'clock games, I guess, seems later because this is so early. But yeah, QR code in the left hand of the screen. Bet or mybookie.ag. You guys scan that code or scan that QR code. It'll take you over to mybookie.ag. Big plays, bigger payouts at mybookie.ag. Every game's a chance to cash in. NFL, college, props, bet it all, win it all. Sign up, lock in, let the games pay you. mybookie.ag. Yeah, betters. Also, ready to bet like a pro. BetUS brings you the hottest odds, fastest payouts, and nonstop action from NFL Sundays to NBA showdowns. Sign up now and get up to 125% bonus with promo code Not Moved. Make sure you guys enter in promo code Not Moved. Also, subscribe to us on the YouTube channel because we are trying to get out there, grow. Let's go.
Yeah, we really appreciate the support, everybody. We really appreciate you guys for tuning in. Hope you guys, enjoy the work that we do. We're only trying to make it better. If you could hit that sub on the YouTube channel, we greatly appreciate that. And once again, thank you guys for the support.
And one last thing, you guys, I'm going to drop it in the link, whatever, when you go to more, drop it. NFL Shop affiliates, click the link, get you the deal. Betters, as always.
I'm not moved.
I'm not moved either, man. Some of this shit sucks. Ravens suck. I'm not moved.
This non-casual podcast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or reused without the authorized written consent of the Not Move Podcast Network. Thank you, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.